Om Lokaha Samastaha Suki no Bhavantu. May all beings be happy and peaceful. Hey everyone, it is Phoenix. Welcome to my channel. Today is Wednesday, March 29th. This video will be released in lieu of the normally scheduled live. I just wanted to update you on Bitcoin and Ethereum. I am not going to cover the altcoins today because, as always, we want to have clarity with the majors before turning to the miners. So before I get into the charts, I'm going to share the macro view first, and then I'll start to drop down to the lower time frames and give actionable trade setups for both Bitcoin and Ethereum. If you want to join me, if you want to get to know me better, maybe learn about a different aspect of life, such as connecting with oneself and with nature and with having great food and enjoying yoga, then you might check out Heaven on Earth. This retreat is linked to down in the description below. There is a discount code. And for those of you in C3, I'm going to actually double the discount if you decide to sign up. You can learn about signing up for C3. That's free. You can learn about this on the website. If you take any of my courses or join with my referral link with MEXC, you can join the C3 trading community. So as for Bitcoin, from a monthly perspective, short term, this is leaning towards more upside. And the reason that I say this is because we obviously have not come back down to retest the previous accumulation range, which that 25,200 level, which I said is critical. It hasn't done that yet. Now, that's not saying that it won't do that, but it seems that Bitcoin is eyeing this liquidity gap right here, which a lot of the times will fill. And assuming that this momentum is going to continue, which there's really no reason to believe that it won't, this 31,800 level, close to 32K, is a pretty fair target for Bitcoin, just looking on the monthly perspective. From a weekly perspective, we actually just broke above the Monday, March 13 candle here, and it seems to be holding steady right now. So this is also pointing to potentially more upside in the short term. And if we look at the 200 weekly moving average, we are still very much above it, have not come back down to retest, and may not. It's possible that we do, it's possible that we don't. Right now in the short term, it's looking like Bitcoin wants to push higher, not looking at any of the recent levels. So let's actually pull up the recent levels and see. These are the relevant levels that I've determined here. This blue is a monthly level. The pink is a weekly level, and then we have a daily level here. Okay, so if we actually drop down to the daily time frame now, what you'll notice, I'm going to pull up the weekly and monthly open here, and you can see we are above both the weekly and the monthly open, well above the monthly open, and also after a brief period below, back above. Okay, so also pointing to potentially more upside for Bitcoin. So the two main ranges that I'm focused on at present are, and I have to actually shrink this a bit so we can see them both here, and I'm going to clearly mark these if you want to screenshot this, from 26,911 to about 28,540, and then here from, let's actually mark that first. I'll mark them so you can see them here. So this 31,965, and I'm very precise about this, as you can tell, 28,538. Of course, it's not going to be the same on every chart. There's going to be some slight variations. And then we have 26,879. So after this range breaks, then we're working with 28,500 to 31,965. Okay. And I would say that there's a strong possibility that Bitcoin does break through into this channel here. And this also happens to be a supply zone for Bitcoin. If we take a look, let me actually get rid of these now. Hopefully you screenshotted them. It is a supply zone for Bitcoin, but it's a pretty large zone here that we're working with. And so we have met with resistance the first several attempts to break into this, but now we had a failed breakdown here and strong momentum candle here to push all the way back up to the top of the range. Usually when you see this, that's a sign that it's most likely going to push higher. Now, I don't know exactly how high it will go, but if I were taking a trade here, this is what I would be looking for. I would be looking for a break above, okay, now we're zooming in. So just giving you my perspective here, just looking for a strong break above 28,664. And this is actually where you see I have an alert set just prior to that. I'm looking on the lower time frame, specifically the 5 and the 15-minute time frame, for a strong candle break above 28,650 or so. And then I would be looking to enter. And from there, I would be targeting, there's two main targets that we're working with. The first would be the mid of this range here, okay? And that's around 30,225, okay? And the second target would be near the top of the range at around 31,925, okay? So these are the two targets. This is the mid of this range. So I would say that the bulk of the price action over the next couple of days is most likely going to be in this range, unless we get a strong rejection today or tomorrow back down to the bottom of this range, which I don't think that's as likely, only because what we have seen in the stock market, we've seen strength today. The S&P 500 and the mega tech stocks have been showing short-term strength. Okay, and so that's giving Bitcoin more reason to push up. And usually what happens is there is somewhat of a lag, maybe a half hour, an hour, a couple hours after close, it can push up really quickly. So I'm hoping that happens while I'm awake, but I'm thinking there's a strong probability that we see more upside for Bitcoin in the short term. Now, as for Ethereum will obviously follow suit. Now, ETH BTC, it has been down. It was breaking out above this range and then came back inside as Bitcoin started to pump. It seems like every time Bitcoin pumps, that's when Ethereum really lags behind. Because yesterday, I don't know if you remember, but Ethereum was up about almost 4%, while Bitcoin was lagging behind. And now Bitcoin has more than made up for that over the past 24 hours. So my main focus is on Bitcoin, but for those that are interested in Ethereum, let's bring up the recent levels here. And actually, we'll do the same process for Ethereum. Before we do that, we'll look at the monthly, from a monthly perspective. Of course, we don't have a liquidity gap here, but we have this level up here, which is around 22,025. This was the up candle before the move down. Okay, so that could be considered the top of this range here. And then from a weekly perspective, we are not yet above this weekly high of March 13th. So that's in contrast to Bitcoin. And again, it has been weaker over the last couple of weeks. That's not to say that it won't push up soon. Okay, so now recent levels dropping down to the daily time frame now, and we can see we are nearing the top, not quite there yet, nearing the top of this range at 1844. It's a no trade zone for me right now with Ethereum. But if Ethereum breaks above 1844 with some strength, then that could be a long trigger all the way up to 1970, maybe even 2K. Okay, so the two main ranges that we're looking at with Ethereum are between 1713 and 1845. And 1843 and 1975. And once again, I will mark these just for those of you that want to screenshot this. These are where the trade setups are. We're just playing the levels. It's from one level to the next. And right now, I'm not inclined to trade this. I would not really even consider shorts at this point. I would look to see if it did break down beneath this 1715 level with some strength, then of course I would definitely be on board to short. But while it's still in this range here, I'm not really interested in Ethereum. My focus is on Bitcoin. So those are the major setups. If Ethereum breaks above, this is where I'd set my alert. I will set an alert here around 1848. If it breaks above with some strength, then we're looking to target much higher. And we could go off of the, oh, this is tricky today. Okay, so we could go off the mid here, which is probably around 1900 for Ethereum. Let's actually measure that just to be precise for you all. I think from a risk reward perspective, I would be more inclined to want to trade Bitcoin than Ethereum. That's just my own personal take my own read. I like to have a focus. I like to know, okay, I have one specific trade setup that I have planned out, and I will take that so that there's no uncertainty when the time comes when there is a strong breakout. So targets for Ethereum would be around 1908. I'd probably go a little bit below 1900 or maybe just above it, and then 1970.29. And that's actually more of a conservative target because, as I mentioned, that monthly level is actually a little bit higher up. It's about 20. I'm going off of a different level here than what I showed you in the chart. Let's see. Let's actually look at that, why I did that. So this was actually, you could say this was the original up move that caused the down move, and this was sort of a swing fail. So slightly higher. If it pushes anywhere between 1975 and 2025, that's where I'd be really looking for shorts. If it swing fails this and goes up to say 2050 and gets back inside this zone here, and I know it's a little bit hard to see that, but let's actually just mark both just for the hell of it, okay? So now if we drop down on the daily and we see if it does get back inside, I try not to have too many lines on my chart because I don't want to confuse myself. If it gets back inside here, anywhere in here, and I'm really focused on looking for shorting opportunities, but if it just spikes above here, if we get a push above, I have my magnet on. TradingView is really something else, learning this, and even after so many years, if we get it above this and then back inside, that's a short trigger for me. Okay, but we're not there yet. We're not anywhere close to that yet. So we just have to look at these two major ranges between 1846 and 1972. Okay, this range here is where I'd be looking next once it breaks above. Until then, I'm not really interested in Ethereum. It has been sort of a little bit not as clean as Bitcoin. Bitcoin has been breaking out, and I like this clear blue sky. I like the consolidations that I'm seeing. There's obviously, it's more comforting trading this because there's more liquidity, and as we know, there's less and less liquidity in the markets these days, and that is becoming clear with altcoins. That's becoming increasingly clear for those of you trading altcoins. I think that Injective had like a 25% move in the last 24 hours, and that's just not normal. I mean, it's normal maybe in a bull market, but it's not normal unless there's less people and less money that's moving it. Okay, so obviously the whales are going to have more of an impact, and then they have more of an unfair advantage as well because they don't really have to follow technicals. They can just sort of blast it up whenever they want, and that's not conducive to making consistent profits. And so I've cut out the alts for the most part. If I see them start to swing fail, if I see Bitcoin, for instance, come back up 32K, and then a lot of the alts really break out above extreme ends of their ranges, and then they start to get back inside, then I would be reconsidering. But that may or may not happen. I'm not really at the point where I want to even consider that. And so that's my sort of philosophy, my trading strategy. I hope that you found it helpful. If you did, please like the video, maybe share it, and comment. Give me some comments so that I know where you're at, so that I know if it's helpful and if you want me to cover other similar topics. I'm trying to keep these as simple and straightforward as possible. Of course, if you want to learn about all of the ways that I create these charts, that I create my levels, and more about my strategies, more of the intricacies, that's where you start to get into the courses. You'll learn a lot watching these YouTube videos, but you won't learn everything because I need to be more nuanced in a different setting. I can't do that so much on YouTube. So again, I hope that you enjoyed this video. Have a beautiful rest of your day.